can see that we're live. So just kind of letting that run on YouTube. Actually, there are people here on YouTube already. Okay, very
Yeah.
cool. Well, so for those of you who are on YouTube, obviously everyone on Zoom, thanks so much for being here. If you are on YouTube and you just happen to come across this, but you'd like to join us here on Zoom, where it's just, it's Zoom's a little easier to uh, chat with each other and time permitting, if you want to raise your hand, ask a question. There was time for that yesterday with Lisa. So I put that in the chat there. There's a link to register there, and you can join us on Zoom. Obviously, just hang out and watch here on YouTube. It's not going to be any different as far as the content goes. And I'll be doing my best to keep an eye on chat here as well. People had some questions via
Mhm.
YouTube yesterday as well. Um, so any other housekeeping stuff for the people here on Zoom? Yeah, feel free to, interact, chat. I'll be giving you some prompts as far as we will be incorporating or can incorporate specific things you bring up around the topic. So it's actually really nice to have your, like yesterday with the cravings. Okay, what came up for you? What are you experiencing? Because that lets it be more personal. And people brought up things that hadn't even considered as cravings, like video games
Mm.
yesterday and other things like that. So whatever's going on for you, it's definitely, you don't have to share it, but it's certainly interesting and valuable. So I think yeah, everything seems to be running. It looks like we can be seen and heard. YouTube is live, so I will kick this off formally and make sure I can see everyone. It is a little different when you're traveling on a different setup. Trying to
Yeah.
cameras here, not here, different
Did you
thing.
bring a laptop?
No,
That's
it's a
that's
just
it.
it's like a PC that we have here, but
Okay.
um don't have the whole thing I'm kind of used to. But awesome. Okay, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for being here. If you're joining us live, you are welcome to share your insights and connect with us. But if you're watching the replay, also thanks so much for being here. And we are really lucky once again to have Fay Chan with us on the channel, but this time live. So thanks, Fay. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me and inviting me.
And if you haven't seen, we have two discussions on the channel. One is working with children, which is really amazing. And another one that's really interesting was this whole conversation about money and
Mm.
budget, which obviously is what we're talking about today, but doing more tapping on it, kind of working through it as opposed to just talking about it. So this is sort of either the fun part or the scary part, depending on how you look at it. But we will make sure it's not scary and that it's actually really helpful and productive. And just the basic outline of that conversation was how Faye, you've worked as a budgeting coach. So you've literally
Mhm.
helped people with the meat and bones of it all. Is that right?
Yeah. So prior to me being a tapping practitioner, I was a budgeting consultant. So helping households plug up their black holes in their budgets. And then prior to that business, I was actually working in a finance company helping families and individuals with their financial budgets as well. So, and until I started working there, I had no idea how many people had no idea about how to manage money. But then, of course, we all know that it goes much deeper than that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the content you will see around tapping and money, certainly not all of it, but obviously it's YouTube, different things. It's going to be a little more surface level, and
Mm.
sometimes it's a little mystical, right? Like, clear your money blocks and just money's going to happen, which we all have some success stories of that, I would say, where there's some sort of belief and you find that, hey, I kind of cleared something around that and things seem to change. But I mean, I've personally never met anyone who just did that and then all of their budgeting, all their taxes, all of their whole life around money was just perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to be looking at some of the things with your input for those of you here live, how to use tapping for the real practical day-to-day life
Mm.
of dealing with money in the world. And
Hmm.
dealing with money in the world is not all just like manifestation and fun. And it's a very concrete way of, safety is connected to it. It's your survival. There is food, right? All of these things are linked to money in a lot of ways. So working with money brings up a lot of different layers. But just even on the most practical level, feel free to share with us what you sort of experience around your day to day with money. How do you think about it? How do you find yourself tapping or avoiding tapping on it? Do you find yourself in that frame of mind, which I think I used to be more on of like, one day it's something's just going to click and I'm just going to have money figured out and it's all going to be magic versus like, oh, how do I actually spend money? How am I what's my relationship? Do I look at my numbers? Do I avoid my numbers? I think that's a good question for everyone here. Are you comfortable looking at the actual numbers? Any places you like to start with people in this direction, Faye?
Yeah, so you touched on it, and when I did the spreadsheets with the budgeting, it was really confronting for a lot of people because on the piece of paper or on the spreadsheet in front of them is where they spend their time and commitment and therefore their money. And they really had to look at it in detail. And when you look at it in detail, a lot of people were really confronted. I've had clients, and this was back in the working days as such, where they'll rock up and between couples, like communication and transparency is actually like the number one issue, where
Mm.
one would cough up that they've got a $5,000 personal loan and then the other one just finds out in the meeting and they're crying, going, why haven't you told me this? Or underneath that, they think it's a budgeting thing, but then it became like, no, I want to keep the baby. No, I don't want to keep the baby. So I had to walk out the office and let them fight it out. Or I've had clients ring up and say, well, I need a budget for my side of the money, not his side, just my side. I was like,
Mhm.
well, as a household, we need to look at both sides. We need to know, but I don't want to let him know that I've got this credit card and that credit card, right? So there's a lot of, so it's pointing to communication and transparency. And it's a hard one to cough up when you didn't start that way. And I'm talking about relationships, right? Inside households. Because with yourself, you can cough it up for yourself and deal with it or mitigate it or not look at it and still survive. But it's harder when it's in a relationship. Yeah. So I think on my second date with my husband, I brought up finances. And
Good.
most people
Good for you.
don't. Like they
Yeah.
don't even say anything until it's too late. Right. So on the second date, I'm I knew that he had some debt and he had some other issues to deal with, only because we were friends beforehand. Right. I didn't find this out on the first date. And so on the second day, I brought it up with him. I said, if I had an inkling already it was going to be a long term relationship. So I said, you need to clean that up because otherwise, further down the track, if we even ever consider being together, how are you going to take care of me or any eventual offsprings? Right. Not to say that I won't take care of myself, I can, but it's like you get to clean that up. So, but I was already working in budgeting to even know that I need to have that conversation. But most people don't. They shy away from it. They don't talk about it until it's way too late or until they've engaged, they've, 6, 12 months down the track or they're engaged or even married. And then they say it. And that becomes a real shock. So it points to communication and transparency in relationships.
Absolutely. Yeah, so anything that this is bringing up for people already, you could let us know. But would you be up for doing a slightly general round on just the confronting nature that people, whether single or in a relationship or just their own connection with money, of the
Mm.
discomfort around looking at the hard numbers of it, the reality, the discomfort.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Just writing down some notes.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right, let's go. Are you going to repeat after me or what's?
Either way, I can, if you like the echo voice, I'll do it for sure.
Yeah, I prefer that.
Okay, cool.
Great. Cool. Even though we're talking about money
Even though we're talking about money
and talking about budgeting,
and talking about budgeting,
they're dirty words.
they're dirty words.
I don't like the word budgeting.
I don't like the word budgeting.
I acknowledge this.
I acknowledge this.
I'm okay and I'm all right.
I'm okay and I'm all right.
Even though this is quite confronting.
Even though this is quite confronting.
Manifesting's easier.
Manifesting is easier.
I don't need to cough anything up.
You don't need to cough anything up.
All this discomfort,
All this discomfort,
it is confronting.
it is confronting.
I'm only human.
I'm only human.
I send myself love and support.
I send myself love and support.
Even though it's hard to face the reality of money
Even though it's hard to face the reality of money
and actually drill down the numbers
and actually drill down the numbers
and see where I'm red
and see where I'm red
or where I'm green.
or where I'm green.
Red meaning deficit, green meaning you're in the plus. Yeah.
Red for the deficit or in the plus.
I send myself love and support.
I send myself love and support.
All this confrontation,
All this confrontation,
the numbers and the budgeting,
the numbers and the budgeting.
and it brings up my values
It brings up my values
about how I'm brought up as well.
about how I'm brought up as well.
And I need to confront it.
I need to confront it.
It's everyday living,
It's everyday living.
how much I spend on groceries,
How much I spend on groceries,
how much I spend on incidentals,
how much I spend on incidentals,
how much I actually save,
how much I actually save,
how much I actually use.
how much I actually use.
And sometimes I don't even know.
Sometimes I don't even know.
My financial planner will ask me,
My financial planners will ask me
and I won't know the answer.
if I have a financial planner and I won't know the answer.
It happens to a lot of financial planners. I still get sick clients. They're like, they don't know how much they spend. I'm like, I know. As much as I'm confronted right now,
As much as I'm confronted right now,
and I'm acknowledging this through my own laughter,
I'm acknowledging this through my own laughter.
I know there's things there for me to unearth.
I know there's things there for me to unearth.
I've had decades to build this up.
I've had decades to build this up.
It's not going to change immediately.
It's not going to change immediately.
So I'm allowing myself the process.
I'm allowing myself to process.
The process of doing this,
The process of doing this,
going through the motions.
going through the motions.
I'm not in a rush to get anywhere.
I'm not in a rush to get anywhere.
So all this discomfort,
All this discomfort,
all the confrontation,
all the confrontation,
it sits there in my body,
it sits there in my body,
somewhere in my subconscious,
somewhere in my subconscious,
and I acknowledge it.
and I acknowledge it.
And I'm here to work on it.
I'm here to work on it.
There's nowhere else to go,
There's nowhere else to go,
nowhere else to be.
nowhere else to be.
Right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
I'm safe and I'm all right.
I'm safe and I'm all right.
Okay, breathe in.
Yeah. Very
Out.
nice. And for those of you watching or tapping along, similar to yesterday, right? Notice how the tapping, especially in the beginning, was not, and I'm clearing everything and I'm picturing lots of money, right? It's literally just an acknowledgement of this is uncomfortable, right? Fay is just speaking to the reality of the experience, and the tapping is helping you stay in it rather than just run away from it. So, there's, like you said, YouTube, the way people encounter tapping a lot, there's like, when do we get to where I clear everything?
Yeah, how do I
Um,
just tap on the affirming?
yeah, exactly. Because that's
Yeah.
the fun part, right? It's fun to picture money. But to the tapping, the more you know about how it works, you're sending a signal to the body that is saying, and the brain and the nervous system is saying, like, it's okay to be here. This isn't a threat. While we're
Mhm.
talking and looking at something that there will often be an instinctive reaction of this is a threat. This is okay. So this is setting the stage to let you actually be with what comes up. And we have a comment, there's lots of yawning already, which is a good sign.
Good.
Yeah.
Well done.
And let us know if anything felt like, sometimes you can kind of feel things in a group for sure. I noticed a surprising amount of like kind of clenching
Right.
and tension. And I'm not saying, oh, that's everyone else in the group and not me. It could be 100% me. But
Yeah.
I definitely notice, and I would say in this subject in general, it's sort of
Yes.
like when you start
100%.
talking about something like, hey, we're not supposed to talk about this. Interesting how
Yeah.
money and budget has that.
Yeah. And budgeting is quite, people don't like the word budgeting because it reminds them of discipline, homework, doing as you're told, you know, boring guidelines that you have to stay within.
Right.
Um, it's hard to shift. And it's, I haven't shifted that for myself. And I've worked in budgeting and do finances and what have you. So, but it is like road rules, like it's guidelines. It has a workability for yourself, your life, how it impacts your family members, for your relationship, for your business, right? They're just road rules as such. And unless you've got a copious amount coming in and you don't really care what you're going to do underneath it, then sure, you don't need to do that. But um, but for most people, and especially I think more this year, that
Yeah.
people are feeling more the cost of living pinch. So they need to, start being real about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have another comment. Mariana said, thank you. Very useful phrases.
Okay, good.
On YouTube. And I agree. I really like the phrases that were being used there. Very, very helpful. Very like, not drill sergeant, we're not making like you
Yes.
have to do this because that instills that almost rebellious response at
Mm.
times, but just confronting like, yeah, this is not always fun, but
No.
even if you have money coming in, you then have to deal with where it goes. So a lot of people are in maybe in a certain stage where it's like, well, I don't even have much coming in. And so if I just had it coming in, that would solve everything. And yes, it's better to have it coming in than
Yeah.
not having coming in. But
Yes.
once it's in, it's still like you said, unless $1 billion comes in, it's like, oh, okay, well, do I pay this bill or this bill? Do I start buying like more expensive groceries or
Yeah.
not? Like
Yeah.
there's still a
Yeah.
lot of things to do for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
There's a new comment on Zoom.
yeah.
Things that came up confronting this brought up a reaction. Also thinking how my parents never talked about money. Exactly. So it all comes to probably when you're younger, how parents talked about money or not talked about money, fought about money, or swept it under the carpet. Um, and or whether you were poor or rich, right? Different socioeconomic groups. I've had clients where they're dealing with money and tapping about money. And what's come up was, well, I wanted to play flute when I was younger, and I love playing the flute, but we couldn't afford the couple $100 to buy a flute at that time. And so as an adult now, they're like, no, I'm going to give myself everything that I want.
Yeah.
So instead of buying one pair of shoes or one pair of slacks, they'll go for slacks in three different colors.
Yes.
Right? It's the complete opposite. Or there's people that grew up with lots of savings, and I'm speaking probably more towards the Asian background, people. Lots of money, lots of savings because it's a huge survival mindset culturally. And what happens is, I've seen this happen where a lady, and you know, wanting to buy an eyeliner that's like $15 at the chemist will just look at the eyeliner and still decide at the counter whether it's worth buying it for $15, right? That the money's so gripping that I know for that particular Asian lady, given I'm generalizing, but she would have savings, and even though it's $15, she was still like I could tell that her cogs were turning as to whether she should or shouldn't spend $15 on the eyeliner. And so there's the opposite. There's the grippingness of money that literally strangles you from taking any action or anything that comforts you, like an eyeliner, or you go, nah, I wasn't given anything, so I'm going to buy 3 of everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So even on YouTube as well, comments, people are definitely having distress. They said physical reactions. So good. That's why we tap. And it's great that this stuff is being stirred up so early. It means you're on target, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to continue with some of the speaking generally to the distress people are having, bring up, reactions, parents, physical distress, living on a fixed income.
Doesn't
Um,
help. Yeah. 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 And then further to that, Karen, um, then it comes to a cycle, right? And it might even delve deeper to um, how you were brought up, what you were thinking. Like, I'll share something. This is quite personal. I only got it this weekend. I've got a princess complex. I really do.
sorry, a what complex?
A princess
Oh,
complex,
okay.
right? So, so I won't. I haven't worked on it yet, but I'm discovering this through my interactions with my husband. That's like he's going. You always act like this, and da 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 da. He's feeding back to me all my actions or non-actions, and I'm really stuck. And I'm going, and then I had an epiphany in the shower yesterday. I'm going, actually, like I've always known I've had a princess complex, but it's now really becoming so pervasive in my relationship,
Mm,
right? Now, it's not about money as such, but it impacts how I am with money and how I am expectant of my partner with me. So in order to I'm sharing this for Karen because sometimes the fixed way of having an income rather than even delving into business for yourself or even having a side hustle um, might point to how you were brought up. So I've worked with an executive before where he during primary school um, couldn't play with his sister because his sister was in like the grade 3, 4, 5, and 6 playgrounds were over there, and prep 1 and 2 playgrounds were over here, and he couldn't go to the other playground to play with his sister. And he felt really lonely because it's a brand new school, and his sister was his best friend. And he remember having a decision saying, "I'm never going to be alone." So he's worked his way up where he has a lot of great high school friends he's kept from high school, a few from primary school, and he's good enough to come out and be a consultant or contractor on his own to even start his own little business if he wants to, but he can't because he never wants to be alone. So he's stuck, not stuck, he's worked his way up the ladder, but stuck being an employee, right? Because it's drilled back down to,
mm.
oh, this is about me not being by myself. And because, as you would know, and I would know, when you're a business owner, you start off with doing everything for yourself, by yourself. And even if you hire a team around you, the experience is still very solo. So I digress because that's got nothing to do with money, but everything you do with how you create income.
Mm.
Yeah, because again, it's your mindset, your subconscious as to how it's drilled in. Whereas, I've always had friends that if they grew up in with parents that are entrepreneurs, it's very likely they end up being entrepreneurs themselves. They won't end up being employees because of the way of thinking and the way they were brought up and what they saw their parents do. So, like your earnings, Karen, it might be a fixed income because you've got a regular, consistent job with regular, consistent income. Um, it might actually, if you look further to that, something else might be underneath it. Yeah,
Awesome.
cool. All right. Anything else on YouTube coming up for people? Where's the distress in their body?
Yeah, I didn't say specifically, but for anyone who is experiencing that, and I feel like it's a lot of people, you can, similar yesterday with the craving, either trace it to your body if you have good connection with your body, where you can kind of feel where things are speaking up. You might notice a tension in a
Mm.
particular place. You might notice your mind just going to a certain part of your body. If you can't, which happens sometimes, or you feel particularly disconnected to your body, it's okay. You don't, it's not like it's not going to work if you can't find that. If you can, you just kind of put your attention on that. Otherwise, you can just imagine it or see what images come to mind. Just be present with it without forcing it.
Okay. Even though all this money stress is lodged in my body,
Even though all this money stress is lodged in my body,
I don't know where it is,
I don't know where it is,
or I feel the distress.
or I can feel the distress.
It's okay, I feel this.
It's okay, I feel this.
It's my body communicating.
It's my body communicating.
I still send myself love and support.
I still send myself love and support.
Even though all this money stress is coming up,
Even though all this money stress is coming up,
we're talking about the nitty gritty bits,
talking about the nitty gritty bits,
my actual actions,
my actual actions,
my actual income,
my actual income,
how I'm stuck there,
how I'm stuck there,
or a sensation of feeling stuck.
or a sensation of feeling stuck.
I'm still okay and I'm still all right.
I'm still okay and I'm still all right.
Even though there's this discomfort rising,
Even though there's this discomfort rising,
I'm starting to think about my parents,
I'm starting to think about my parents,
about how I do think about money.
about how I do think about money.
I know there's something there
I've noticed something there.
and I need to do some digging.
I need to do some digging.
I'm going to ask my subconscious to back me in this.
I'm going to ask my subconscious to back me in this.
I still support and love myself through this process.
I still support and love myself through this process.
All this distress,
All this distress,
I wonder where I store this.
I wonder where I store this.
Where in my body is activating now?
Where my body is activating now.
What is it trying to tell me?
What is it trying to tell me?
Is it trying to escape?
Is it trying to escape?
Am I finding myself avoiding?
Am I finding myself avoiding?
Or can I delve into it a bit deeper?
Or can I delve into it a bit deeper?
Because that's where I store my stress.
Because that's where I store my stress.
It's okay if it's uncomfortable.
It's okay if it's uncomfortable.
It's been there for years.
It's been there for years.
I grew up with it.
I grew up with it.
What mum and dad did
What mom and dad did
or didn't do,
or didn't do,
or what I thought
or what I thought
about being on my own
about being on my own
or surviving on my own,
or surviving on my own,
or that I can't trust anybody else,
or that I can't trust anybody else,
or that I deserve better.
or that I deserve better.
And I seem to be just chasing that.
And I seem to just be chasing that.
I wonder how I can dissipate this.
I wonder how I can dissipate this.
I wonder if there's a memory there
I wonder if there's a memory there
underneath all of this.
underneath all of this.
I wonder what precise memory there is.
I wonder what precise memory there is.
Maybe my body will tell me
Maybe my body will tell me
or help me focus on it.
or help me focus on.
Or my subconscious might give me an event
Or my subconscious might give me an event
or something significant
or something significant
that's going to point me to it.
that's going to point me to it.
I wonder what it is.
I wonder what it is.
It's safe to let it come up.
It's safe to let it come up.
I'm just sitting down
I'm just sitting down
and just tapping.
and just tapping.
And it's 2025.
And it's 2025.
I'm not stuck back there at home with my parents.
I'm not stuck at home with my parents.
It's 2025.
It's 2025.
I do wonder
I do wonder
what my body will show me,
what my body will show me,
what meaning I made it mean,
what meaning I made it mean,
what perspective I adopted,
what perspective I adopted,
and what did I decide?
and what did I decide?
What did I think of it?
What did I think of it?
How did my survival become?
How did my survival become?
I wonder if my subconscious can help me find the memory.
I wonder if my subconscious can help me find the memory.
It's okay to let it come up.
It's okay to let it come up.
I'm safe where I am,
I'm safe where I am,
allowing it to dissipate.
allowing it to dissipate.
Okay, breathe in,
Hmm.
out.
Yeah.
Right. Anything come up for anybody? So for Kelly's in the chest, holding her breath. Okay.
Yeah. Let us know if it's, and you don't have to share a lot of detail, but we're just curious if how that was for you. And just pointing again, similar to yesterday, notice how Faye is taking you to self-discovery and curiosity, not I'm clearing all my money blocks, right? We're not anywhere near that. It's kind of
No,
what am
that's
I?
some yeah, tapping about money or even clearing things might take 7 to 10 sessions, private one-on-one sessions. I've had clients where this particular client came to me about hitting her glass ceiling for her income. Right, she might bust through it a little bit, but come back down. If it's always that line of best fit, and she would never like bypass that glass ceiling. And when we tapped, unbeknownst to the two of us, it's a significant block from her deceased brother that came up. And that block kept on coming up with different aspects and different stories and different memories for at least about 8 sessions before we cleared it because it was so deeply ingrained because she's been with her brother, lived with her brother, family for all her life. So that's a reality of clearing something that's really quite deep seated and deep rooted. Um, yeah, tapping on the positive ain't going to fix that.
Yes, exactly. And we got some good stuff here. I'll read it so it's on the replay a little bit. Memory of not being able to get a piece of candy at the store, being told we can't afford it. You can,
Mm,
and so it's powerful to see how that might not ever come to your mind if you were just sitting by yourself thinking like, oh, what's going on with me and money? But when you're
mm,
doing something like a guided exploration, like Faye was leading you through with tapping, your mind knows, or your subconscious, or however you think about it, it's going to bring it up. And you don't have to like journal through your whole life or look through your memory books and
no,
what might it have been. It presents itself to you, and it can be sometimes really surprising or seemingly innocuous.
yeah, because you're like when you're working with someone that's facilitating guiding, then you're not constantly thinking about what's the memory. Oh, I need to read the script or follow along and still think. So when you're held by a space of someone facilitating that, it's faster. Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of
Mm-hmm.
yawnings is a separate message. Very
Yes.
aggravated with my parents who fought constantly about money. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine the amount of things that get tied in your brain and your body that become associated with money, right? Tension, conflict, that there
Mm.
wasn't enough. Also, how they never, oops,
Taught
also
me how
they
to
never
manage it
taught me
well.
how to manage it well. So mostly I'm feeling aggravated with them
Yep.
and disturbed that I've probably not made the best choices in my life because I didn't know.
But didn't know. Yeah. Very clear. Like it's a lot of people talk about financial literacy at school, but really financial literacy actually begins in the home. Right. And I'm a stickler for cash because it's a hand-eye brain learning course, right? You learn by
Mhm.
writing, not typing. And so with all the credit cards, the thing on the phone, you're tapping or rather, you cannot budget with tapping. Not this tapping, the card tapping.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. Right, you can't budget with that. So, way back when I did my budgeting, I would ask clients to go do their normal everyday spending, even on the card, but I need them to write it down. I get them to take a log of all their expenses and daily expenditure on a daily
Mm.
basis. I might collect the receipt and then physically on a piece of paper, write down the date, write down what it is, and write down the amount, right? Because by the time you do that on a daily basis, by the time you go for a coffee and a muffin, you'll go, I had a client go, oh, I'm not going to get the muffin because I have to tell Faye about it. So I'll just get the coffee. right? Or they'll walk past a shop and they go, oh, I can't go in because I have to write it down and show Fay. I was like, I'm not going to do that. So when you actually log it down and write it down, and then you manually use a calculator and type it up for yourself, not on a spreadsheet where you just highlight some of, um, it actually the learning's embedded, right? All this digital money, nothing to do with. I mean, sure, it's the ease, convenience, yada yada. But if you want to learn about money, you go get cash out and spend it, collect the receipts. And with bills, instead of direct debit, like do the phone call, you type it in and then pay it, right? Because the more you do, the more it's embedded. When it's automatic, inconvenient, out of mind, out of sight, forget about learning. There's no learning available when it's that. So
That's
you
a
got to do the hard yards.
really interesting point because if you were dealing with cash or back in the day if it was like rocks or who knows what you have this tactile experience of
Mm,
okay, there's this much here. If I want this, I give this much. You watch it
correct.
go out of your hand.
Yes.
But now with internet, credit cards, if you are already confronted by money, which a lot of people are, of course, it adds almost a dangerous extra layer of dissociation where, well, I can stay really disconnected from it all.
Mm,
And then that really gets exploited because the
yep.
20% interest on your credit card, if someone was coming into your house and saying, I'm taking 20% now of cash,
Yep.
you would perceive that in a lot more of a visceral way than it's
Yes.
just these numbers on a screen.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, a lot of people revolve their credit rather than transact it, which means, you pay your credit card off every single month in full rather than incur the 20% charge of the interest on what's still unpaid. So yeah, if someone came to your car and said, well, I'm taking this wheel, this whole tire, that's 6%. I don't know what it is, right? You go, no, right? But that actually takes away the integrity of your car. Because a car without one tire won't work as a car, would it? So you get to think about money that way when you're doing a disservice to yourself in doing something. It really takes that integrity away. Yeah. So
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Also, someone says, sad feeling my parents worked hard for years and now are struggling in their retirement. So this is a
no.
really powerful sort of collection of
Mm,
examples so far. And I'll give one of my own that I felt coming up because it's quite different, just to show the range of spectrum. So you have parents arguing and fighting about money. And if you think about, again, when you're a kid, you learn, actually, still as adults, of course, but you learn to associate the emotions you're feeling, the reactions you're having with whatever the trigger or the stimulus is. So now money can be linked. You
mm,
might not consciously be thinking, oh, I associate money with arguments, but that's
mm,
all in the body. That's all in the association. So, like, why would I want to spend my time writing down and thinking about something that I just associate with pain and tension in my family? So
mm.
noticing how, and this is why tapping makes sense because it can actually begin to decouple that rather than being, it's not just it is kind of magical, but there is a logic to why you can break these associations. Seeing your parents work hard, and so there's a slightly different one, right? Maybe not direct arguing about money, but you see. This is, I find people I work with sometimes who have almost a hatred for the system and money in general. And this can be a sticky one because it's like, oh, I hate billionaires and I hate millionaires and I hate what money did to my family and they worked so hard. And at the same time, that can almost create an identity. I'm not saying the person in the chat, I've just something I've seen where you almost have an internal aversion to
Yeah.
money and being part of like a capitalist or whatever society. So
Yes.
part of you doesn't want to participate. It doesn't want to play that game. But at the same time, it's kind of nice to be able to like buy clothes and food and stuff and you're
And
in
not
that
think
system.
about it and not think about how it's going to impact your bottom line. Yeah.
Yeah, and a specific memory being told we can't afford it, right? So this link
Yeah.
of money and pain. For me, I would say not that like I don't come from money, but I don't have a lot of memories of it being I have memories of there being conflict for sure, but not like a deep survival instinct around
Right.
it. For me, I
Uh-huh.
seem to link it more, the memories that come up when I'm younger have more to do with like achievement because I feel like of being like a good student and being sort of pointed out as like, oh, good student, responsible. There was this thing of like, I'm
Uh-huh.
going to be really good with money. I'm going to make a lot of money because that's what a good smart boy would do.
Yeah.
That's a sign of that achievement. So all
Yeah.
sorts of like different kind of associations there with money of like it being a value of how smart I am or how good I am or needing to prove and keep a great credit score, all these things, not necessarily because it's helpful, but because it's like the identity of a responsible person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. There's so, I mean, you talk about the topic of money, right? As like the top of the iceberg. And then now we're delving down underneath the water. And it's got like so many different aspects and so many different tangents, but it's all still in that, vicinity of the 90% of the iceberg that's underneath the water. And it's so varied in myriad of topics. And and so when people go, it's about money blocks, it's like oh, so much deeper than that.
And I don't know if we mentioned this before, but as you can already see, and anyone watching even the replay, how quickly you get to deeper aspects when you're working with someone like Faye who can guide you there. And tapping's going to help bring it up. Um, I'd almost say, unless you're unusually, I don't know, regulated around money or you've had a really good history where it's just not a really dense topic for you, it's not going to work out too well to try to follow just like YouTube budgeting advice or courses and programs without addressing this stuff in conjunction with it.
Mm.
There's so much information and resources out there of like YouTube channels about how to budget or this program or this system, but your mind will not let you do it if it conflicts with some of these underlying things. So I think that's important to keep in mind too. You can't tackle this purely from okay, I just need to learn the mechanics of budgeting or learn the percentage. Okay, this percentage goes here, this percent. Your mind will cheat. It'll
Yes,
find like, well, this doesn't
100%.
count because it's a coffee. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna do, it's gonna
Yes.
work in alignment with it's avoiding these emotional mines,
Yeah.
like a minefield. It's like, no, okay, how do we perfectly construct a thing so that Evan still gets to be exactly who he thinks he is, but pretend he's doing this budgeting thing? It's
Yeah.
really fascinating how subtle it
Yeah.
all is.
Yeah. And I've got another story where this is back in the finance company when I worked there. And people will pay obviously the company the fees and what have you for them to actually run the budget for them, right? So you're basically going, here's my income, plonked, it's over there in that account, and you pay my bills, but I get pocket money every single week to live on, right? And for some people, that really works because they just can't be trusted with money. And then after a couple of years, people go, I can do this myself. Oh, I'll stop working with that budgeting company and I'll do it myself because I know how they do it. So sure, they know how it's been done. They know what to do. They get access to their budget, all the doing and all the strategies available, right? Like it is on YouTube and the internet somewhere for free even. But then the client will call back a year later and go, can I give you my money again? I need to come back as a client. I've just racked up $15,000 worth of debt because the brain patterns are all still there. The stories, the values, the distress, the emotions are still there. So unless there's the accountability there where someone else takes care of it for you, and then you're just left with that's it, $250 a week, and that's petrol and food. Go for it, right? Um, And you go, great, I'll just do this. So it's almost like you're being guided to make something workable for yourself. But when they leave and try and do it themselves, they come running back, which means that it's not about the free strategies. It's not about the budgeting as such. It's really about how you think about money, the unearthing of money, the mindset of it, because it's just a topic. Just a topic. It has nothing to do with money, really, because as we're seeing with all the chats, it's creating and bringing up all these other visceral memories from the past. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So I know that if you're working with Faye, for example, one-on-one, then you're going to zero in on the particulars as they're coming up for you, right? So we would, the whole round might be about one memory, or the whole session might be about around one memory that were to come up. But um, Faye, what do you think about keeping it slightly general, but just kind of going to that next step of, okay, even though I've got these memories of my parents or my
Yeah.
household. And
Let me take
there's
some
some more
notes
things in the
about
chat as well.
that feelings. Yeah. Oh, parents. Yep.
We have a comment feeling that I'm not good enough, even if
Yep.
it's not that expensive. It's a feeling that I'm not worth having something.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm laughing at my own story. Sorry, it
Mhm.
just came up for me. Yeah. Um, if there are deeper issues, doing all the manifestation approaches won't work either. Yeah, that's true, Karen. That stuff can't magically bypass the deep subconscious. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. It's very funny how people think that they can bypass their subconscious. I'm like, it's a super, super, super computer right
Yeah.
there. And like, yeah, no, I'll just think it. Yeah. Okay, let's do it. All right. Even though all these memories are coming up,
Even though all these memories are coming up,
it's stemmed in my past
it's been in my past
about mum and dad,
about mom and dad,
about affordability,
about affordability,
and how I interpreted it.
and how I interpret it.
I still send myself love and support,
I still send myself love and support,
even though it's deep within my subconscious.
even though it's deep within my subconscious.
There's so many different layers.
There's so many different layers.
I remember being told we can't afford it,
I remember being told we can't afford it,
but I didn't feel safe asking for it again.
but I didn't feel safe asking for it again.
No wonder I don't feel deserving.
No wonder I don't feel deserving.
I'm still okay and I'm still safe.
I'm still okay and I'm still safe.
Even though I feel like I'm not good enough.
Even though I feel like I'm not good enough.
All those times I've remained silent.
All those times I've remained silent.
I've internalized all of this,
I've internalized all this,
and my resilient body has kept it,
and my resilient body has kept it,
reminding me every single time money comes up.
reminding me every single time money comes up.
I still send myself love and acknowledgement.
I still send myself love and acknowledgement.
All this money and all this pain,
All this money and all this pain,
I'm feeling confronted.
I'm feeling confronted.
It feels like a black hole.
It feels like a black hole.
I can't get out of it.
I can't get out of it.
I can't unhook it.
I can't unhook it.
I can't afford 20 sessions.
I can't afford 20 sessions.
I'm just saying. How do I undo this for myself?
How do I undo this for myself?
I know it's there.
I know it's there.
It's all in my body,
It's all in my body,
all linked up to memories,
all linked up to memories,
to some specific moment
to some specific moment
that was really significant for me.
that was really significant for me.
It may have created a trauma wound
May have created a trauma wound
because I didn't get what I want.
because I didn't get what I want.
I really wanted it.
I really wanted it.
I didn't feel emotionally safe.
I didn't feel emotionally safe.
I internalized all of it.
I've internalized all of it.
And I figured out a way to survive it.
I figured out a way to survive it.
And I'm still doing that now as an adult.
I'm still doing that now as an adult.
I'm still doing the same thing I've ever done.
I'm still doing the same thing I've ever done.
How do I magically bypass this?
How do I magically bypass this?
I know I can't,
I know I can't,
but I am where I am.
but I am where I am.
I acknowledge where I am.
I acknowledge where I am.
Maybe I can take one small action.
Maybe I can take one small action.
Maybe I can write my budget down
Maybe I can write my budget down
or take note of what I'm spending
or take note of what I'm spending
or actually use physical cash
or actually use physical cash
or look at my expenditure.
or look at my expenditure.
There are ways that I can save
There are ways that I can save
or look at creating more income,
or look at creating more income,
offering my help,
offering my help,
offering my services
offering my services
in exchange for something.
in exchange for something.
I know there are many ways,
I know there's many ways,
but I know I'll get activated again.
but I know I'll get activated again.
I'll get re-triggered,
I'll get re-triggered,
and voila, I'm in the same cycle.
and voila, I'm in the same cycle.
I've been in the same cycle for years.
I've been in the same cycle for years.
So I'm asking for support
So I'm asking for support
from my subconscious
from my subconscious
to let a little bit of this go.
to let a little bit of this go.
I'm an adult now.
I'm an adult now.
It's 2025.
2025.
I wonder if I can command my subconscious
I wonder if I can command my subconscious
to let it go a little bit.
to let it go a little bit.
I need its backing
I need its backing
and its support
and its support
to unhook this,
to unhook this,
to send myself forgiveness,
to send myself forgiveness,
to send my parents forgiveness.
to send my parents forgiveness.
They didn't teach me.
They didn't teach me.
They didn't show me.
They didn't show me.
And I just learned from being there.
I just learned by being there.
And I turned out how I turned out.
I turned out how I turned out.
I wonder if I can forgive myself
I wonder if I can forgive myself
and forgive them
and forgive them
and start unearthing this,
and start unearthing this,
letting it dissipate
letting it dissipate,
and letting it release
letting it release
as much as I can,
as much as I can,
as safely as I can.
as safely as I can.
I know I'm not resolving it today,
I know I'm not resolving it today,
but I'm on the way.
but I'm on the way.
So I send myself love.
So I send myself love,
I send myself compassion
send myself compassion
and generosity.
and generosity.
I thank my body
I thank my body
for keeping it safe.
for keeping it safe.
And when it's safe enough,
And when it's safe enough,
I will let it all go.
I'll let it all go.
Sending myself compassion,
Sending myself compassion,
sending myself calm
sending myself calm
and a sense of peace.
and a sense of peace.
All will be well.
All will be well.
Okay, breathe in.
All right.
Now.
Yeah, that was great.
Okay, good.
Thanks for that. Yeah. Yeah. How are you all feeling? Did that bring up anything? Did you feel any releasing there? It's nice to see that even though it's obviously not specifically one-on-one, we're not like digging into one person's um, thing in exquisite detail, but to be still working within this framework of, okay, we're creating a sense of exploration, safety, curiosity, acknowledging what we're feeling. And then in that last round there, where Fay is speaking a little more to the tension and the feeling in the body and the acknowledgement of like, yeah, this might not go all, this isn't going to all just go away today, but you're encouraging the process. It's a very healthy form of interacting with yourself, right? That I think
Mm.
it's kind of good to revisit and model, because it's not this aggressive, like getting rid of everything that ever, caused any money pain, because that's so big. And I think that happens a lot with money processes in particular. They're so big that there's a difference between what are the words I'm looking for? Like fantasizing versus your imagination, right? Where if money can really lend itself to where you fantasize. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'm just tapping for $1 million, right? And the difference with fantasy is your nervous system's not engaged with it. That's why people will think, well, I'm visualizing millions of dollars, right? Or I'm picturing things, because that's not actually memory. It's not engaged in the body and the nervous system. It's almost a type of dissociation of
Mm.
fantasy. And at the
Mm.
same time, Faye's not like dunking your head in the water saying like you have to feel all this pain and right, it's sort of a sweet spot of, okay, we're acknowledging like, yeah, there's uncomfortable things here with my parents or with my experiences as a child, and you're kind of talking through it and encouraging the process of release without, demanding or expecting it all to just go away. So you can kind of use these 3 rounds. I think it was three, right? As
Yes.
of a framework, and it organically was very similar to yesterday in that, acknowledging where you're at, probing a little deeper to see, okay, what specifically is going on for me, and
Mm.
then speaking to it and helping the process unfold in a way, because you can't force it, but you can help facilitate it. And so you're kind of finding that space between fantasy, which is like you kind of think you're working on it, but you're not really doing much. You're just sort of picturing money or whatever, but you're also not just like um white knuckling it with like, okay, I'm going to download this budget program and I'm going to make myself follow the 2% here and the 3% here, and because there's too much under the hood. And
Mm.
you can always do, well, not always, but the cliche of sorts is you can do that for a little bit, similar with diets and other things, right? You can kind of make yourself do it for however long your nervous system can keep that up, but you're like holding a beach ball underwater. It's not
Right.
really
Yeah.
sustainable. So
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for modeling that. And it looks like we got some things coming up in the chat as well, some release and some new memories. I think I buy things now when I don't need it because I feel I deserve it. Interesting. Yeah, getting what I wasn't able to get when I was a child.
Yeah. So you're soothing your inner child as such. So there's obviously a small T trauma wound there where um, the safetiness or being or children understanding that they can't do something because of something. You're yawning now, Evan. Yeah, it creates a perspective and then it creates a belief for themselves. And so that's running strong, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. We had one on YouTube that had Mariana had said this was before the round. My reaction is a thought, I'm so far from money. I guess it's so distant. I wonder if that's shifted at all after that last tapping round. You can let us know. Yeah, thanks a lot for those rounds, Faye. Anything as far as um, do you think I recapped that well? Is there anything else you'd say about this framework of how you're looking at the practicalities of money, but tapping along with it to make it a process of exploration and something that you can model, even if, like you said, maybe they're not in a position to take a series of sessions with you one-on-one, but to kind of model this framework.
Yeah. So it's just being gentle but real about um, the topic of money. So, um, and money is such a gosh, it drives people mad and crazy. Right, I've heard stories where people go a bit silly in terms of when someone passes on and they're coming for the will, or coming from something or other. That's when you really see all the intricate patterns, but like, like a volcano coming out. And so with a lot of people, it's a gentle process, but it needs to be real. It needs to be real. I think a lot of people want to escape and want to stem themselves into fantasy as a coping mechanism. And whatever they buy themselves off with in terms of a reason or a justification they need to start unhooking that for themselves. And so it's a way to explore, to journal about it, to discover, to be really curious as to why. Um, to start writing or start um, asking how come you're reacting the way that you're reacting. And often though, because you're actually doing the thinking, your subconscious is a really smart rat and it knows how to hide. Yeah. So that's the booby trap. That's the downfall where um, you think that you're on the right track, but it's so smart it knows how to hide from you. So there's only so much work, and I think it's limited that you can do for yourself before you engage either a seminar, a personal development course, a somatic therapist, tapping with Evan or myself. It, you only get to there, and then someone else needs to be the eyes and ears outside of you to take you to the next point.
Yeah, that's well said. And it's we all do it. People, even if you're trained as a tapping practitioner,
Mm,
there's limits on what you can access while you're the one in the driver's seat, also being the one trying to manage everything. So, don't be hard on yourself if you feel like, oh, it's really hard for me to tune in and find the memory and kind of tap on it. Like, yeah, there's a lot you can do. Like I said, journaling and a lot of different things you can use to help you through that process. But people who are trained as practitioners also take sessions with other people, or we swap and we do different things to kind of keep that momentum going, and to think of it again not as okay, I cleared the money blocks like they're this solid thing that you just kind of you clean them out once, and then the system is just permanently purged of anything that's blocking it. I think that's a way that money in particular lends itself to being talked about, because it's sort of solid, and like, well, at least when it's cash, it's
mm,
solid. It's easier to think of it as just this object, but it's
mm,
it's really a relationship to how you are with the world and your resources around you. And so you may find completely new set of blocks, resistances, triggers when you go from like no money's coming in to now a certain amount is coming in. And like we were saying in the beginning, it's better to have more than less coming in. But like, oh, I thought it would just be 100% all only good things. But again, you will be confronted with how do I make what this new decisions I have to make about where this money goes. And sometimes I've also seen it where um, it's a really interesting one where there's a resistance to money because there's a association with being taken care of. And so the nervous system actually feels safer when there's no money coming in, or a certain percentage, so that I'm not the one who has to make these decisions. Or it can be a position to not have to confront certain things, because it's like, oh, if I actually now I have enough money coming in, and I don't want to donate it to charity or whatever. Like if you just don't have it, you can say, hey, I just don't have it. There's
mm.
almost an ease in that. If you
Yeah.
have enough, now it's like, uh-oh, is this selfish of me? Is this frivolous?
Yeah.
I thought if I had a lot of money coming in, I'd be doing all these like charitable things. It's really interesting where it can go.
100%. There's so many, as Karen said here, complexity. Yeah. So that's the next layer of barriers to yourself that comes up, even when you have an abundance coming in. It's a nice problem to have, but it's the next problem along the peeling back of the onion as such.
Absolutely. Well,
Mm.
thanks for the nice comments. Such a powerful session. Yeah, great. Everyone has blind spots. Excellent point about the nervous system. Very important. Yeah, great feedback. Thanks so much, Faye. Thanks for your expertise, not only as a great tapping practitioner and these really useful rounds that we can revisit on the
Mm.
channel, but also the perspective of what this really looks like in people's lives and a variety of people's lives. I feel like that's often missing from the
Yeah.
conversation. I think it helps people feel seen and validated in
Yeah,
their
and I
own
think it's
journey.
a
Yeah,
lot more real and grounded and focused on human beings rather than all the feel good, positive vibes, manifestation, magical unicorn YouTube videos out there that really there's no quick fix. Yeah, so I love how real the conversation has been.
great. And I do have a link in the description of your link tree. Is that the best
Right.
place to
Yeah, if
reach
they
you
go
or
to
anything else?
my link tree and yeah, or Facebook or Instagram, that's fine. They can find my details there.
Awesome. And you do this with people over Zoom,
I
one-on-ones.
do this, yeah, with people over Zoom, one on one. I'm releasing new tapping circles monthly.
Oh, cool.
Um, yeah, and so that's an easier way to work with me than to engage with me one on one first.
Well, people might
If you're
not know.
not,
I guess
if you're
maybe not
unsure.
everyone knows that term, tapping circle. What for
Tapping
people who
circles.
don't know
So
that?
it's a group of people coming on live on Zoom, be held on Zoom, and we'll go through everybody's issues or details, whatever they want to get unstuck on. And during tapping for other people's, because I'll interweave, like I did today, interweave all of the different topics and issues. And it's called borrowed benefits that we're tapping on. So when you're tapping on other people's issues, your subconscious is still listening to it and still unhooking and unearthing for yourself. And so the group dynamic will actually help amplify any breakthroughs that's there. So it's a monthly tapping circle. It's at a lesser price than one-on-one sessions.
Sure.
And yeah, I'm going to do it on a monthly basis.
Awesome. Okay, great. And so that's all on that link there on the link tree in the YouTube description. If
Yep.
you're on Zoom, you can go to the channel or you'll get an email, the same email that had this Zoom link. I'll email you in a day or two with the replay link, or it's just on the channel. So
Perfect.
great. Thanks so much. Any other thing you wanted to let people know about?
No, just keep turning up, keep tapping.
Awesome. Yeah, good
Yes.
advice. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here and really appreciate it. And if you are interested in tomorrow, same time, same channel, Selena Tonkin will be doing this around physical pain and different sensations, stresses in the body. So hopefully we'll see you then and have a great rest of your day or night. All right. Take care. Just starting to end it here on YouTube. It's probably